Hi, welcome to Elf Needleworks. I'm Elf, and today I will be showing you how to make this scarf. Now, this is a beginner pattern, so I will be walking you through how to do each one of these stitches individually. Because of this, I will have detailed timestamps where each row starts in the description below. If you would like written instructions, there will be a link to a free downloadable PDF in the description. To make this scarf, you'll need a 5.5mm crochet hook and 180 yards each of two different colors of Aran weight or worsted weight yarn. For the purposes of this pattern, I will be referring to the two colors as gold and cream and indicating when you should be switching in between each row. This pattern is in US terms. Now let's get into the pattern. The very first thing that we are going to learn is a slip knot. To make a slip knot, take the short end of your yarn and lay it over the longer tail. Put your hand through the loop that you just created, grab the long end of the yarn and pull it through. This will leave you with a very large loop. Place this loop over your hook and pull your long tail, the one connected to the yarn ball that is also called your working yarn, and pull it tight. You now have one loop on your hook. A slip knot can also be created using your crochet hook. Take your yarn and wrap it around your hook clockwise so that the short tail lies over your working yarn. Take your working yarn and loop it around your hook. You will now have two very loose loops of yarn on your hook. Take the one closest to the hook and pull it through the loop that is on your hook and pull tight. This is also a slip knot. The first step for creating this scarf is to make the foundation chain. For your foundation chain, you will be starting off with cream. The foundation chain is made up of a bunch of chain stitches and is called such because, well, it is a chain that forms the foundation of the rest of your crocheted piece. When reading a written pattern, the foundation chain is usually not notated as a row. For the foundation chain for this scarf, you will be working a multiple of 12 chain stitches plus 1, which would be notated as seen on screen. Their abbreviation for the chain stitch is CH. To make a chain stitch, take your hook with the slip stitch on it and loop your working yarn over your hook. The process of looping your yarn over your hook is called a yarn over. So take your slip stitch, yarn over, you will now have two loops on your hook. Then take your hook and pull the first stitch, the one closest to the hook end of your crochet hook, and pull it through the other loop. You have just completed your first chain stitch. That process is yarn over and pull your first loop through your second loop, completing your chain stitch and leaving you with one loop on your crochet hook. While you are working the chain stitch, and in general when you are crocheting, you do not want to pull the yarn tight after completing your stitches, especially with the chain stitch. Remember that you will be working into this foundation chain in the next row, and having it be too tight can both cause your scarf to have a very unstretchy edge and or make it very difficult to work the next row into this foundation chain. The length of the scarf is up to you. The typical scarf is usually between 55 and 85 inches. I typically like to make my scarves about the same length as I am tall, which in this case is about 64 inches, meaning that I chained 265 stitches for my scarf. This is, as I said, a multiple of 12 plus 1. Take a look at your foundation chain as you are making it. You will notice that one side of the chain has a bunch of V shapes sort of stacked on top of each other, and the underside is made up of different bumps and ridges. Those V shapes on your stitches are going to be present throughout your work on this project. That V shape is the top of your stitches. Now that you've completed your foundation chain, it is now time to work the first row. Continuing in cream, we are going to start working into the second chain from the hook. Each V is one stitch. You will see here, this is the first stitch from the hook, and this is the second stitch from the hook. When you are working into your foundation row, typically instructions will have you work into both of these at once, like so. However, I personally find that to be a bit of a pain and also fairly difficult for someone just starting out to do. So I am going to recommend that you work just into one half of the V, like so. We will now be single crocheting across. Single crochet, when written, is abbreviated SC. To perform a single crochet, insert your hook into your stitch. Remember, here you are inserting it into the stitch second from your hook. Insert your hook into the stitch. Yarn over and pull it through that stitch. You should now have 2 loops of yarn. Yarn over one more time, pull it through both of the stitches on your hook, leaving you with 1 loop of yarn. You have just completed your first single crochet. For row 1, single crochet all the way across your foundation row. Once again, to perform a single crochet, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over one more time, pull it through both of the stitches on your hook, leaving you with 1 loop of yarn. Once you have worked all the way across your foundation chain in single crochet, I strongly recommend double checking and counting all of your stitches, just to make sure you have the right amount. For this row, you should now have a multiple of 12 stitches. If you have trouble with counting this many stitches at once, I strongly recommend using a stitch marker to keep track. Here I'm using a plastic stitch marker to mark the 12th stitch, and here I am showing you how to use a scrap of different colored yarn to mark a stitch. I recommend marking every 12 stitches all the way down your entire first row, just to help double check how many stitches you have. This can also help in the next few rows once we start working with slightly more complex patterns. Once you've finished marking your stitches, we can continue working on the scarf. Now, in order to set up for the next row, you are going to chain 2 stitches. What this accomplishes is both bringing your hook up to the same height as the new type of stitch that we will be learning, and it means that you'll be able to work directly into your first stitch. Take your work and turn it. Now we are going to learn how to double crochet. This is notated as DC in written patterns. Make sure when you are inserting your hook into your first stitch that you are not skipping any stitches or working into your chain stitches. You want to work into the last single crochet that you performed in the previous row. Do double crochet, yarn over your hook. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. Insert your hook into your first stitch, yarn over, pull it through the stitch. You should now have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Yarn over and pull it through the first 2 loops on your crochet hook. This should leave you with 2 loops on your crochet hook. Yarn over, pull it through the 2 loops on your crochet hook, leaving you with 1 loop on your crochet hook. You have now completed your first double crochet. Once again, that is yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull it through. You should have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Yarn over, pull it through the first 2 loops. You should have 2 loops on your crochet hook. Yarn over and pull it through those final 2 loops, leaving you with 1 loop on your crochet hook. Complete 5 double crochets. Next up, we are going to chain 2 and skip 2 stitches. Remember, for the chain stitch, all you need to do is yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook. So do that twice, and then skip 2 stitches from the previous row, these 2 here. Next up, you're going to double crochet 5 more times. Here is all of that completed. What you should have just done is double crocheted 5 times, chain 2, skipped 2 stitches, and double crocheted 5 more times. Now, repeat all of that again all the way across your work. Whenever you reach a stitch marker, remove the stitch marker, work your next stitch in pattern into that stitch, and then move the stitch marker into the top of the stitch you just worked. Once you have reached the end of this row, chain 1 and turn your work. Again, that chain 1 serves to bring your hook up to the same height as the new stitches on the next row. For row 3, single crochet all the way across your work. For the double crochets, make sure that you are crocheting into the V on top of the stitches, but where the chain stitches are, we will be crocheting around them. Essentially, this just means that you will be working 2 single crochets into the opening made by those chain stitches in the previous row, like so. Once you reach the end of row 3, you are going to tie off the end of your yarn. To do this, cut the yarn a few inches away from the edge of your work. Then take your crochet hook, yarn over, and pull that tail of the yarn all the way through the loop on your hook until it has made a knot and you have no loops on your hook. You will now be switching over to the gold yarn. Make a slip knot and place it over your hook. Next, make a slip stitch into the first stitch of your scarf. To make a slip stitch, insert the hook into your first stitch, yarn over and pull it through both the stitch and the loop that is currently on your hook, leaving you with 1 loop on your hook. Next, chain 1 to bring your hook up to the same height as your next stitches. Now we are going to learn the half double crochet stitch. Remember that you need to still complete a stitch in the stitch from the previous row that you just slip stitched into, and double check that you are not skipping any stitches. To perform a half double crochet, take your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over, and pull it through that stitch. You should now have 3 stitches on your hook. Next, yarn over and pull it through all 3 stitches that are on your hook, leaving you with 1 loop on your hook. You've just completed a half double crochet stitch. Let's go over that one more time. Yarn over, insert your hook into this next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Yarn over, pull it through all 3 loops on your crochet hook, leaving you with 1 loop on your crochet hook. You are going to half double crochet all the way across your work, chain 1 and turn. You will now be working row 5. Row 5 will be using all of the stitches that you have just learned in a repeating pattern. When you are inserting your hook into the stitch below, make sure that you're going underneath both of the legs of the V for this stitch. In your first stitch, single crochet. In your next stitch, half double crochet. In the next 2 stitches, work double crochets. Then work a half double crochet in the next stitch and a single crochet in the 6th stitch. This is what that pattern looks like done once, and this is what it looks like done twice. Again, that is single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. Repeat this series of stitches all the way across your work. You should be able to fit 2 repeats of this pattern in between each one of your stitch markers. Once you reach the end of row 5, tie off your yarn as you did before. That is, cut the yarn a few inches away from the edge of your work and pull the tail through the loop on your hook and pull tight. For row 6 through 9, you will be working the same series of stitches, alternating colors each row. For row 6, start off with cream. Make a slip knot and place it over your hook. We will be starting this row by learning a new stitch, the single crochet decrease, which is notated scdec. To perform the single crochet decrease, take your hook, insert it into the first stitch, yarn over, and pull it through. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. Next, take your hook and insert it into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull it through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull that through all 3 stitches on the hook, leaving you with just 1 loop on your hook. This is the single crochet decrease stitch. Next, we are going to learn the single crochet increase. This can be notated a few different ways in a written pattern. Sometimes it is notated as work 2 single crochet into the same stitch, or as I have notated it in my pattern as single crochet increase or scinc. For this stitch, work a single crochet into the next stitch. In this pattern, that means the 3rd stitch from the previous row, and then work a second single crochet directly into the same stitch. Work another single crochet increase into the next stitch. Next, work another single crochet decrease. Let's go over the single crochet decrease one more time. You start with 1 loop on your hook, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Insert your hook into the next stitch after that, yarn over, and pull through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over one more time and pull it through all 3 stitches on your hook, leaving you with 1 loop on your hook. Repeat this pattern across your whole scarf. That is, single crochet decrease, single crochet increase, single crochet increase, and single crochet decrease. You should be able to fit 2 repeats of this pattern in between each stitch marker. Once you reach the end of this row, tie off your yarn and turn. Row 6, which you have just completed, was done in the cream color. Row 7 will be done in gold. Row 8 will once again be done in that cream color. And then row 9 will be gold once again. Make sure that you are double checking your stitch count every row and that you are tying off at the end of each row. Your stitch count for every row should still be a multiple of 12. For row 10, you are going to start out with the cream color. Slip stitch into the first single crochet from the last row, chain 2, and now perform a double crochet, a half double crochet, a single crochet, a single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet. Repeat this across the whole scarf. This is what 1 completed repeat looks like, and this is what 2 completed repeats look like. Repeat that series of stitches all the way across your scarf. Once you reach the end of row 10, chain 1 and turn. For row 11, you are going to half double crochet all the way across your work. At the end of your row, you are going to tie off. Switch to your gold yarn. For rows 12, 13, and 14, you'll be repeating rows 1, 2, and 3. I will go over all of those rows one more time for you now. For row 12, you'll be single crocheting all the way across your work. Once you reach the end of row 12, chain 2 and turn. For row 13, double crochet 5 times, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet 5 times, and repeat that pattern across. Once you reach the end of row 13, chain 1 and turn your work. For row 14, single crochet all the way across your work. At the end of row 14, tie off, and you are done with the body of your scarf. You may have noticed as you're working that you have quite a few ends sticking out at the edges of your scarf. You can take your crochet hook or a yarn needle and weave those ends in, leaving you with a blunt-edged scarf, but I personally prefer a scarf with tassels, so I will go ahead and show you how to add some tassels to your scarf. I am going to put 5 tassels at the end of my scarf. I will be making 2 in the cream color, 2 in gold, and 1 in the middle that uses both colors of yarn. To make the tassel, take a piece of yarn and wrap it around your hand a total of 5 times. Then cut one end of all of those pieces of yarn, leaving you with 5 short lengths of yarn. Lay your scarf flat in front of you. Take your crochet hook, put it under your scarf, and push it through the edge of the scarf from underneath. Yarn over your hook using the middle section of all of those pieces of yarn at once. Pull through the scarf. You should now have 5 short pieces of yarn looped around your crochet hook and halfway stuck through the scarf. Next, take all of those ends of all of those short lengths of yarn, wrap them around your hook, and pull them through that loop on your hook. While you are doing this, make sure you grab any ends that are on the edge of your scarf and pull them through that loop too. Pull all of those short ends nice and tight. This should do 2 things. 1, give you a nice tassel at the edge of your scarf, and 2, hide all of your ends. Repeat this across the edge of both short ends of your scarf. For the final touch, take a sharp pair of scissors and cut across the edge of all of your tassels. You have just completed the Dots and Waves scarf. If you make this project, please be sure to tag me wherever you post it on social media. My handle is elvneedleworks on all social media. I would absolutely love to see what you make. If you're interested in seeing more of my work or getting updates, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, following me on Instagram, or joining my Discord server. All of the social media links that I have mentioned will be listed down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Happy crafting!